I'm Dr. Stephanie Jeffries, the host of Conversations That Heal. Today, I have the honor and the privilege of interviewing Carla Pinto. Carla is a lawyer who does personal injury, wrongful death, and estate work. She's also just ventured into modeling. One of the things that I admire about Carla is her ability to persevere, to keep moving even when the odds are stacked against her. Carla, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Carla Pinto. I am an attorney here in New York. I've been doing this for several years. I'm on this journey of trying to figure out who I am.
I know you wanted to be a lawyer since you were 8. Let's talk about some of the challenges that you had with becoming a lawyer.
It's not something I was happy talking about in the beginning as I was going through it. I graduated law school and I took the bar a few times. I was consistent about it. It took me several years to finally pass the bar and get admitted. It just got to the point where the more I tried, the harder it was. I'd always get close to the finish line and I would fail by a few points. As I was going through it, I felt like a failure. I felt it was never going to happen. Point one day, I sat there and something happened at work. I saw these young people graduating after me and passing on their first try, people who were not passionate. They were coming in for interviews to be hired as attorneys at my office. It just broke me. I was like, there's no way that this is happening. I used to supervise that person. I know what they do and what they don't do. I was like, God, I'm going to do this one more time. I'm not going to tell anybody I'm doing it. I am going to just take a shot. I'm going to leave it in your hands. I'm getting emotional now. But I had a breakdown at my desk at work. And a friend of mine had another friend that had taken the bar, was like, he has this tutor. Why don't you just try this one last shot? I got this tutor. I would work with him for once a week. And we were supposed to do at least 10 hours. At that point, I was just so exhausted with it. The first few weeks I gave the 10 hours. After that, I would do my assignments and just leave it. The more I worked with him, the more he made me realize I wasn't an idiot. I did know the material. I was so stuck in my head. At that moment, I was realizing this is all in me. It's all my mind. But you know what? If God wants me to be a lawyer, that's what he put in my heart, then he's going to make it happen. If not, then he has bigger plans for me. I took a February bar and I'm passing. I couldn't even believe I passed it when I saw that letter. I thought it was a joke. I thought that someone was playing a prank on me, that I had finally passed.
One of my prayers has been, God, don't give me something I want before I'm ready for it. We see it coming easy for other people, like you said, and we see people that we know that aren't passionate about certain things, and it seems like it's working out for them. In that time of perseverance, what do you think you learned most about yourself?
I didn't give myself grace. I thought there was a timeline that things had to get done. It was just at a point where I was so hard on myself. I just couldn't understand what was going on. I thought there was everything in the book wrong with me. And I never gave myself the time to step out of it. Just take a breather. Maybe it's not your timing. And at that time, I couldn't see that. Now, when I speak to younger people who are trying to pursue the same career, I had to go through what I had to go through to be the person that I am today. I would never have valued it at that time. I think that for me now, if I could speak to my younger self, I would have told myself to give myself grace and be less hard on myself. I think I might have still gone through something similar because God was building me to be the person I am today.
You spoke about how you had a lot of work struggles. You also had a lot of lost relationships because a lot of times people get used to the brokenness. They get used to that person that needs them for something. And then it's not that we don't, we just now need them in another capacity and they're unable to do that. Talk about the relationships you lost and then just explain, why did you think you lost those relationships?
I did lose several friends. Even family relationships I noticed weren't the same. Every time I would fail, they were there for me and were supporting me. When I finally passed, they weren't there anymore. It was like, oh, she finally made it. She doesn't need me anymore. It was like a whole new person, someone I didn't know. I lost other friendships because people didn't understand I was so committed to doing this. I put everything on hold. My personal life, I would try to date, but every time I would try to get serious with someone, I would then get the results and fail again. I couldn't give to someone when I wasn't feeling whole because it wasn't fair to that person. I would go through the struggle again and have to study, and I was working time. I feel now that I had to grow up. Now is the time that you're going to figure this out. It was hard, even with work relationships. I had people I looked up to, were mentors. And the minute I passed, everything changed. I couldn't count on them anymore. It was like they had an upper hand in the sense that they were there for me because they thought I needed them. And they had that feeling of being wanted and needed. I didn't need that anymore. I was still going to be there. For them, it was like, she finally made it. And it's hard when the people that you think support you the most turn their backs on you.
The sad part is it doesn't just happen in that capacity. It happens in a lot of our lives. We've had people we grew up with and we outgrow them. We have relationships and we change. The person that has not changed or was needed during the time feels as though they've been abandoned in a sense when they haven't. I want you to be a part of my life, but emotionally I'm in a different place. If I can imagine going through that and coming out on the other side of it, there had to be a breakthrough that happens after you lose those relationships and things are starting to change and you're at a great part in your life. Now you're able to do what you feel like you're passionate about. What is the mental shift that has to happen?
So it took me a little while, honestly. I felt so alone. And my closest friends growing up weren't lawyers. They were there for me, but they didn't understand all the stuff I had gone through. They saw what I had gone through, the sadness and then losing the relationships. They stayed there for me. No one really understood. So little by little, I start putting myself out there. I had one friend. She's one of my closest friends. She's a few years older than me. She was wise. She was the one person that never judged me. Little by little, we started doing little things. We went to paint night. I started to try new things. I started slowly building my confidence. I'm like, it's okay to be alone. It's okay to figure this out. This is now the time for me to do it. I was involved in the church. I'm Catholic. And for many years, I ran the religious education program and I gave myself to God, which I had done before. As you know, you go through phases and you ask, why me? Why is this happening to me? I finally got what I wanted and now other things are happening. I started speaking to other people that were elder in my community, getting their words of wisdom, and slowly just coming back to myself, realizing I had to validate myself. One thing that I tell people all the time, one thing that did help me start to validate myself and make me feel like I wasn't losing it was a therapist. I did go to the therapist for a short time because as the relationships were coming, I was the kind of person that I was blaming myself for everything. Every time I would fail too, it'd be like I failed and I lost a friendship and I still failed. It's not like I lost a friendship and I passed the bar. It was hard. I was my worst enemy for a very long time. When I finally passed, little by little, I started building that up. It took a little time. I got hired at my firm. I was there for 3 years. That last year I was there, things were bad. If any of them hear this, I love them all dearly. I was in a place where it wasn't my place anymore. They were family to me. I would pull up to that parking lot, my whole mood would change. I was like, something's got to give. I can't do this anymore. I'm not happy. I would go for walks at lunch with my friend who was my coworker. We started just talking and I decided I was going to do a bucket list. I put on my bucket list. I wanted to do a fun photo shoot. A friend had someone who did photography on the side. I paid him and I did a photo shoot. I posted the pictures on social media and I got this overwhelming comments of friends that, well, you look so great doing this. I was like, stop it. What are these people doing? Then my friend said, why don't we just submit it to an agency? I didn't do that. So I spoke to another friend who's in the industry and he told me, why don't you join this website? It's a freelance website and you can collaborate with people. I did. And I started getting comments and messages from photographers that were nearby where I live. I started working with them and the photographer sent the photos in and I got published in a magazine. Once I did that first photo shoot and I got those pictures published, I think we all are looking for some kind of recognition and validation in the outside. It was great. I just felt, oh my God, I never thought as a kid I would ever be someone who could do that. I never felt pretty about myself growing up. I knew I wasn't ugly, but I never felt that true, oh my God, I'm pretty. So for me, it was like, wait, they published my pictures? It made me feel good because I was already working out and I was doing all this stuff. We did more photo shoots and I got published a few more times. Then my mom says to me, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean? Now I think I left out that at that time I had gotten a life coach. It was probably one of the best things I ever did. The goal for the life coach was for me to figure out what am I doing in my career. It was not happy. I start meeting with her and I start doing this on the side, which wasn't supposed to be anything. It was literally a bucket list photo shoot. She's cheering me on. And my mom's, I thought you were looking for a new job. Don't ruin your career. What are you talking about?
People don't understand what they don't understand. I'm a trauma coach. I'm also a transition coach. What I help people do as they're transitioning, they're finding things that work for them. Some of the things that we want or people want, they feel like they're way out of your league. You said, I'm going to do this photo shoot for fun and we're just going to see what happens. It turned into something that you really love and something that you can see yourself doing. And it helps you see yourself in a different light. Traditionally, if you're a lawyer, you just stick to law. Like our parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles, they came from that. You stick a job, You live and die and do that job. Entrepreneurship or doing something on the side, it works, but it doesn't work for us because that works for someone else. I commend you for one, hiring a therapist, and even meeting them and understanding, working through that, but then hiring a life coach to be like, hey, listen, there is something that is missing. There is something that I need to tap into and I need to figure out what that is. And so getting to your happy doesn't look the same for everybody.
Nope.
It doesn't look the same for someone who, like a mom, like you're a lawyer, so she wants you to do lawyer stuff. But at the end of the day, we can do both. And people say it all the time, you can't have it all. You can. It just depends on what your all is. So if you want to have a great job, a great marriage, great financial life, a beautiful career, and that's your all, you can have that. Right now, you're in a position where you have it all. You have your modeling thing that makes you feel the most beautiful and the boldest that you've ever felt. And then you have your lawyer thing that you love, that feels good to you, and you still get to help people, but now you get an opportunity to help yourself.
Yeah.
And for keep yourself fulfilled.
Yeah.
You believe that a mindset can make you or break you. Explain that to me.
100%. I will say that it's grown more on me in the last 3 years. When I started working with my life coach, it was things that I don't think we ever really discuss or really realize that we have thousands of thoughts in our head every single day. Sometimes we don't even know the thoughts that we're having because there's so many. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've learned, and I truly do believe this from all the work that I've done, our thoughts create our emotions. Our emotions don't create our thoughts. We just have been taught as a society that what we see in front of us is what we're capable of getting and doing. That's all that there is. One thing that I started off was when they say like the law of attraction and think positive and you get positive. With my life coach and started to work on myself, I kept doing more work, more spirituality, reading more books. Mm-hmm. It's the last 3 years, I have realized that the way I think makes such a difference, because when I was at my old job still, all the trauma I had been through with the fact of losing the relationships, the way I was being treated by certain people, going through all this stuff at the bar, feeling like a failure. I was walking around like I wasn't an attorney. I didn't have that confidence. And so I made a decision that when I left that job, I got to be a new person because no one knew who I was. Those people had never worked with me before. And my coach said, that's what you're going to do because people don't know you. I was like, I'm going to try it, but I don't know how I can do this. I still need to be myself. She's like, Carla, you can be yourself, but you can be the person that's not the victim. That's not the trauma, because that trauma stays there in the past. I was able to bring that person into this job that I have now. And I've been there 3 years and I love it. And I love the people that I work with. But sometimes your trauma still creeps up and you get triggered. And the thing that I've had to work on the last 3 years is it's okay to get those triggers. It's just telling you, hey, you still have this going on, but you're not that person anymore.
Right.
Especially this last year, I have read tons of books, and 2 of them in the last few months that have really, really made me believe. And mind you, as a religious person, as a Catholic, I believe in miracles. I've always have believed in miracles. But to read these books and really realize that your mind and your faith can really change your life. I truly believe that we are the creators of our reality. If we believe in it, if we have our thoughts in line, if we know what we want, we can make it happen. But sometimes we are our own worst enemies.
We talked about that briefly. We allow people that do not have our tenacity, do not have our dreams, do not have our zeal to dictate what we feel like we're capable of. And that's not the way that it should be, because at the end of the day, you have what it takes to live the life that you want. The only thing that I ask God for right now is the ability to gain it and the wisdom to keep it. I don't want him to give me something that I'm not ready for, that is going to destroy me. For us, we pigeonhole yourself into societal expectations. And now that you're stepping on the outside of that and you're not worried about societal expectations, then now you can see that, man, I can have this amazing life where I have amazing friends and I have an amazing career and I have an amazing life after work. And it is filled with all the things that I want. But one of the things that I had to do is I had to shift my mindset, and I had to start telling myself that I can have it. Most of the time when we think about something, Carla, we think about why we can't have it. We never think about why we can.
That is correct.
We think about all the negative things. We don't think about all the positive things that would happen if this thing happens, because we are so afraid of getting too excited because we've always let ourselves down.
And that is so true. And it's funny because even going back to when I finally passed the bar, it was without even realizing. Now I know it because I've worked on it and I continue to work on it. But at that point, when I had that breakdown and I made that decision, I said to myself, I'm either going to pass this now. And if I don't, I'm not doing this again. Then there's something else for me. It was making that decision and flipping that switch that got me to where it was. It was a mindset that had to be like, it's now or never. And if it's not, if it's never, then it means it's not for me. And I had to detach and let go of it and trust and know that it was all coming from me, because I truly believe that if God gives you a desire, it's because it's there.
Yes. And if not, he'll change it. Sometimes I think that we get so sidetracked by the fact that the way we want it to happen, it isn't happening that way, but there's something that is still happening. I say this all the time to my clients. The goal doesn't change. The method by which you get there changes.
That's true.
The way that you achieve that changes. One of the things that has catapulted you into where you are now is you passing the bar, getting a therapist, your life coach being instrumental. One of the things that you mentioned also is that you read a lot of books. But if there's books that you would recommend, hands down, that would shift people's mindset, what would it be?
The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy, Becoming Supernatural by Joseph Dispenza. They are two great books. I believe that if you go within, God made us in his light. We all have a little bit of God in us. If we trust him, he will lead us. And that's where I feel like miracles happen. The first one is it's pretty quick read. The other one is a little bit more intense because he connects it to science and research in it, but it's all about how you can go within and create the life of your dreams. You go within your mind, you get at peace, and you just meditate. It sounds really weird, but he says, we all think we're somebody doing something somewhere, but we just need to go within and be nobody, be nothing, be nowhere. And from there, you can build something. If that makes sense.
It does make sense. But I think that's the same thing as people are everywhere and nowhere at the same time. If you take it back down to the bare bone root of things, then you can begin to build something from there. The interesting part is this: we want what we feel and what we understand to make sense to other people, not realizing it does not have to make sense to other people, because it is the thing that makes sense to us. It is the thing that resonates with us. It is the thing that propels us forward. We're just grateful that it worked for you, or that the thing that you're doing worked for you. It allows you to be a different person. When you talk about modeling, your face lights up. Where are you now with the modeling piece?
I haven't done as many photo shoots recently. The last one I did was in November. I did do a small after party runway show in February. I almost didn't do it because I thought I was going to be wearing something else, and it turned out to be a swimsuit. I was feeling a little self-conscious about it. I didn't know how I felt about posting it because my Instagram is public and I am still an attorney. Look at it. But the person I am now and this past year, I've been able to become more open about it, because at the end of the day, I'm human just like everyone else. I get to do other things. I want other people to know that they don't have to be stuck in a box. I thought I needed to be stuck in a box. I did that runway. After I did it, I got like an adrenaline rush. I did have a bit of an imposter syndrome for a few hours. A few days later, I was like, what am I doing? But I have now started applying for other runways. I'm hoping to start doing some more. I do it because it builds my confidence. As a kid, I would have never have seen myself doing something like that. I always saw myself as a smart kid. I told everybody I want to be a lawyer and that's how I'm going to be successful. Not realizing as a kid that I had other passions and other things I wanted to do like any other kid. I just thought I would never be that person that could do that because I just wasn't good enough to do those things. For me, I'm now doing that and I'm trying to see if I get into some more. And if I don't, it's okay too. I just feel like doing things that are out of my comfort zone just bring me back. As I told you in our interview, I manifested this podcast because down the road, I want to have my own podcast. It's something that I want to, and it's funny that I found you and we found each other. My goal is I want to empower children or young girls or even young men. Maybe they're from families that are immigrants and came here and worked really hard, or they're from families
Right.
that are old school and they're strict and they're told go to school and get an education, which is great. And I agree, everyone should do that. But I
Yes.
also think we need more people that can let them know that if you fail, you can keep going. Don't let
Hmm.
other people tell you that you're a failure. Don't let yourself
Yeah.
tell you're a failure. From someone who 5 years ago, I didn't even think I was going to be a lawyer. I'm a lawyer at somewhere that I love, in an office
Right.
that I work with amazing people, even to the point where my boss found out that I'm doing this runway stuff. And he said, if you make it to a show, can we come support you? To me,
Right.
that feels amazing to have a boss say that to me, to have my
Right.
coworkers say, do we want to come watch you? I'm in a place where I didn't even think that I would be a lawyer because it was taking me
Right.
so long to get to where I was.
Right.
To be where I am now and have all these doors open and do all these different things. And even if I do them once and I don't do them again, it's leading me to where I need to be to find my true happiness. Because at the end of the day, your goal, at least for me, is not to be successful. Being successful now to me is me finding my true happiness.
Right.
Whatever that means it is, wherever I end up, as long as I'm truly happy, that's all that matters. But I will say that I won't stop until I get that true happiness. Like I will never stop until I'm fully 100% fulfilled within myself.
That's one of the things that I love about you, Carla, is the fact you persevered in areas of your life and people would have naturally given up a long time ago, but you knew what you wanted, you knew what you desired. Once you surrender it over to God, He makes it better than you ever thought that it would be. So I think that the journey that you're on is instrumental for people who are in the middle of the road right now, who don't know what they want to do. There are kids who are here and no one's telling them that you can do anything. It may take you a little longer. Don't throw in the towel. Don't allow the negative voices that you hear within your head make you stop going after your dreams. Because if we're honest, no one talks to us worse than we talk to ourselves.
Yep. That's
No
so
one
true.
does. We feel like we know better. We feel like maybe I'm fooling myself when actually you're not. You're just tapping into another part of your life that is going to make you better. And if it doesn't turn out to be anything, you cannot say that you didn't try. I commend you for continuing to persevere. I commend you for wanting to talk to young ladies and young men about the ability to persevere and to do something else. Resilience matters. You have to become resilient. Everything doesn't work the first time. One of the things that I like to do in the podcast is I want you to tell me a couple of things. I want you to tell people where people find you on social media if they want to follow you, and what projects do you have coming in the future?
Okay. You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is Carla A Pinto. So you'll find me there. I am public. As far as projects, I am not booked yet. Like I said, I don't want to give it away yet until I know. I am going to a casting for a fashion show.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for that. I am still continuing with my career as an attorney. I'm working really hard in that, trying to move my cases along. Maybe one day in the next 2 or 3 years, I'll make a partner. I'm
Okay.
trying not to put as much pressure on myself. I do have some really fun photo shoots coming up soon. Those are the projects I have as of right now.
Tell me something that you are grateful for.
There's so much. Most importantly, I am very grateful for my family, especially my parents. They came here, they worked really hard. Sorry. They supported me through everything. So
Right.
the friends that stayed, and I'm very grateful
Right.
to God because He's led me on this journey. But I think I'm just grateful for everything. I'm grateful for this journey because I feel like had I not had that moment, I would still be unhappy. And I
Right.
think that so many people will stay in what they know and stay unhappy and not allow themselves to be uncomfortable. And I think that's the
Right.
hardest thing. There are days where I feel like, what am I doing? Or where you don't feel grateful. It's normal. I went from, I didn't know if I'd be a lawyer. I own my own place. I have a nice car that I was able to get this past year and treat myself. I work really hard. I'm at a job where my bosses are amazing. My coworkers are great. I get to work from home 4 days a week. When I'm not in court, obviously, I'm in court. And I feel like the more I continue on this journey, the more doors open for me and the more aligned I am with the right people.
Right.
For me, just waking up every day, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to even be on this podcast because this is something that for a while I've been wanting to share my message. My mentor, and I don't want to leave him out in my career, who actually was the person that told me to continue with the modeling because he said to me, kind of what you said, I feel like you're glowing when you talk about it. When I
Right.
started questioning what I was doing, he said to me, I have never seen you so confident or walk so tall since you started doing this on the side. and it's made you a better attorney. Knowing that can change who I am as an attorney and build my confidence to represent my
Right.
clients and know who I am gave me even the extra push to say, you know what, this is something I'm going to do, because it's not building my confidence for other reasons. It's building my confidence even in my career. And people are noticing
Right.
the real me that I've always wanted people to notice, not the frail, sad person who went through all that stuff and was stuck in a rut for so long. I'm shining through. I think as much as I've lost a lot, I'm grateful for the people that have come into this journey, because God has done amazing things and put amazing people to get me to where I am.
One of the things that you said, and I'm going to quote that today, is that sometimes we're so preoccupied with the people that left that we forget about the people who stayed. We have to be grateful for the people that stayed in spite of our failures, in spite of how it made them feel, how they stayed. I think that's something that we should definitely be grateful for. So thank you for that. If you could give advice to anyone listening today on what they could do starting today to live the life they want, what advice would you give them?
I think that you need to take the time and sit with yourself. And so many coaches talk about this now on social media. Take out a piece of paper and write out what you really want. It doesn't matter how crazy it is, how crazy it sounds, write it out and then realize, what are the thoughts that you're having that are stopping you from doing this? Because at the end of the day, you're your only person getting in the way. That's how you're going to start working on your mindset, is knowing what you want and figuring out, why do I think I can't have this? What makes me not able to have this? Why am I different than anyone else? And I think that's where you have to start.
Thank you for the opportunity to interview to you today. It has been amazing. I know that this episode is going to inspire someone that is on the verge of giving up or feels like maybe God didn't tell them this thing that they are after. I appreciate your story. I am going to pray us out. Heavenly gracious Father, we thank you, God, again for the opportunity to come into your presence. God, we thank you for Carla. We thank you for her story. God, we thank you that this story is going to bless someone. God, that this story of perseverance and resilience is going to help someone to not throw in the towel, God, that this story is going to teach someone to be grateful for the people that stay and to take their eyes off the people who left. God, I ask and pray that this podcast gets to the person that needs it when they need it the most, God. And we know that your reach is bigger than ours ever will be. So we thank you for it now. In your darling son, Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.